Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast, and I'm here with Joey today. Joey, there's so many, just based off your bio, there's so many things that I could go through here and say, but I'll just turn the mic over and I'll let you introduce yourself to the audience, a little bit about who you are and maybe what you do.
Well, thank you, Shannon. It's a pleasure and honor to be with you today. I'm Joey Havens, born and raised in Mississippi. I live in Mississippi today. I'm author of a book that will be released in June, Leading with Significance. I'm a partner in a top 25 CPA firm. I was the managing partner of that firm from 2012 until 2021. I'm in my last year with Horn LLP, which is our CPA firm. And we've just seen God's been really good to us, blessed us so immensely since I started in 1962. But certainly the last 10 years have just been an incredible journey, which, again, is one of the reasons I wrote the book, Leading with Significance. It's really all about inspiring people to stop and really connect with each other, and for leaders to trust in the good in people, to care and serve them in intentional ways that leads to high performance organizations and high trust organizations. So that's kind of my why behind writing the book. I couldn't sleep. God wouldn't let me sleep until I got started on it. I thought it might be something I would do in retirement, but he had other plans, so I needed my sleep, so I started writing. And 2 years later, we're kicking off a big pre-launch in May the 4th for Amazon pre-orders. So if anybody has an inclination to kind of see what's behind the book, and maybe we'll get to talk about it a little bit today, I would encourage you to put a pre-order in on May the 4th. That's my bestseller campaign, and then I hope that'll take us into June 6th, where it goes out for a retail launch. I'm a Christian, a grandfather. We have 4 kids, 8 grandkids, and it's just something. Until you get a grandkid, you just don't really know what life's about. Is all I can say about that part. So I don't know. That's probably too much, Shannon.
Oh, you're good. You're good. We're empty nesters, or at least really close now. My daughter's getting married in June, and my son's going to school in the fall. So we keep saying we'll wait just a little bit longer on the grandchildren, but we can't wait. We're ready. We just don't think they're ready yet, but they'll get there, and we'll be so excited because I don't know, my wife will spoil them rotten. There's no doubt in my mind. There's so many things, just author of Leading with Significance, How to Create Magnetic People First Culture. When you read that out loud, the shed industry is the same as the rest of the business world in America. And we're different in some ways. And I think all industries could say that, but really, we're all looking for a path forward, whether you're hauling, whether you're selling sheds, whether you're manufacturing, whether you wear a lot of hats and a mixture of all of the above. When we talk about culture in the workspace, we are a very fragmented industry, but a very fragmented culture too. We have tons of Anabaptist, Plain Community, Amish, and Mennonite influence, listeners included to the podcast. And then we have people like myself that did not grow up in that environment. But one thing that much of the industry seems to identify on is conservative values for the most part. And that's not to suggest that we are all just conservative or ultra conservative in any way. But generally speaking, there is a feeling of being conservative around most of the people that we do business with. But then even inside of that, there's all these little nuances. I didn't know that about denominations. Whenever I started, I remember going to churches and I was like, all Baptist churches are the same. Well, that's just not true, right? All Methodist churches, they're all the same. And I didn't know that there was so much difference and nuance even inside of those denominations. Well, inside of our work, we find that too. And even inside of our own culture, we find that too. Even inside of the Amish community, a very primitive community, you find difference. And I'm learning more all the time. I don't propose to have it all figured out or know. What I really like is whenever I can connect with someone who has a completely different culture than I do. They grew up in such a different way, yet we can find moments where we're like, wait a minute, we're a lot the same there. It's almost like you're working to try and like accomplish that. Is what, I don't know. What's your take on culture in the workplace? What do you teach? What does your book talk about?
Well, first of all, I think, people think different things when they hear the word culture. I call it the soul of your organization. It's not only what you say you are and who you say you are, but it's your actual beliefs, values, and behaviors and actions, and also what you allow. See, culture is built around what behaviors we allow. A lot of times, we overlook behaviors that destroy our culture. And so culture is really the soul of your organization. It's how people feel about the company, their sense of belonging, and that's one of the keys to any culture. You can put any initiative you want to in place. If people don't have a strong sense of belonging, if they don't feel safe, if they don't feel like they're in a company that's looking out for them, that has their back if they make a mistake, they'll never reach their full potential. And that's what's so beautiful about getting culture right. When you get culture right, when people know you care, they care. When people know you care, they'll care for the client. They'll make sure that the client is served well. So many companies, when they look at their strategic plans, they put growth before people. They put clients before people. And we forget that why people work is how they work. And so when they know that leaders, even in family business, I mean, you were talking about the shed industry, and, Horn is a top 25 firm. We built our company on entrepreneurs and family businesses, and we serve some much larger businesses today. So, I mean, actually, our client base is very representative of the way you describe the shed industry. We have the mom and pops, and we have the big corporate billion-dollar companies that we serve. And when I took over as managing partner back in 2012, I was elected in 2011. We had less than 400 team members, and today we have over 2,000. And that's just a wide variety of people with different needs, different beliefs. And as your company gets bigger, culture gets tougher and tougher. And so you really have to understand what your values are, and are you really honoring those values with the decisions you make, the people you promote? So culture is something that lives and breathes and changes on a daily basis, but certainly every year, your culture is either going to get stronger or weaker. I think the secret sauce, and we can build from that, is that for you to have a magnetic people first culture, leaders must first trust. They got to be vulnerable and trust in people.
Yes.
Quit trying to control everything. Trust in people. Intentionally serve and care for them in ways that leads to high performance. That's what it gets down to.
Man, what a great word. It's vulnerability is the word, because it's very tough to be vulnerable as a business owner, your vision for the company feels as though it drifts farther and farther away with each moment of vulnerability that you hand over to somebody else to run with, to try and take your vision for what you want your company to be, how you want it to be represented. As a business owner myself, I know it's so difficult to step away and to trust. And a lot of people that you're going to supervise, a lot of people that you're going to hire, I mean, they're very, very much capable of doing well on their own. I guess what I'm trying to say is like they're creative, they're talented, they're full of opportunity themselves. They are trusting coming under your wing as a business owner that they can be vulnerable back and share all of their talents to benefit your organization as opposed to benefiting their own. So it's a lot of times I think what I've seen is, well, I don't know. I remember all the stories that I've heard, Rush Limbaugh talked about getting fired from several jobs because he just wasn't, he just wasn't meant to be working for somebody because he couldn't find that one somebody that could tap into what mattered for him. Walt Disney kind of talked about the same thing, went through a couple of different mental breakdowns, because of that. But his passion persevered, he stayed the course. I think sometimes it just seems like some people are kind of hard to understand. That creative bubble is maybe a little bit different and difficult. So, but if you can tap into that, there's some real genius there sometimes. I've supervised people that are way, way more talented than me, Joey, way more talented than me. And then I think to myself, God, why do I have this opportunity to supervise this person? Their talents can go way beyond what I have. I don't know. What do you do with that? How do you encourage openness there? Communication. I believe communication is the key, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely built around communication. We think that we're being clear, that we have clarity on things, and most of the time we're making fuzzy agreements with people, and that adds to stress in the workplace. So communication's a real key. But the leaders have to feel it in their heart, and not one leader, by the way, can create a magnetic people first culture. Even in a small family business, you got a sole owner, dad that started the company and grow it up, and you got 25 employees now. It takes other leaders in that group to reinforce the values. Like at Horn, our values we have 4 core values: God, family, service, and gratitude. And that's our North Stars. I mean, we make our decisions. As we say, we like to honor God and personal faith, because when you got 2,000 people, there's a lot of different faiths. We have Muslim, Hindu, atheist, but we're a faith-based organization in that we believe God created us to connect with each other, and God created us to build something bigger than ourselves. And so as long as we adhere to the Christian values of caring and serving others, it doesn't matter what your personal beliefs, we'll honor those. But we do believe personally as owners that we honor God when we serve and care for others. Believers, non-believers, all up and down, all Baptist, Catholic, Methodist, just, religions. I don't get hung up on religions. I feel like I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, my Savior. And so when I think about starting place, and this is actually in chapter 1 in the book. One of the things that the roadblocks, that this deals with status quo, one of the roadblocks we have is that everybody will, if you ask them about their culture, their business culture, they'll say, we have good culture. First, I mean, I've asked a lot of people, Shannon, a lot of people. And I'm over 90%. I give them a scale, 1 to 10, to rate their culture with, like 7, 8 being good, like sort of good, and then 9 and 10 being excellent and magnetic being 10. 90% of them are going to rate their culture good. And so the reason is because we want to, that's part of us, especially if you think about a family business, yeah, we take care of people. And then they run out the back door and scream at the guy loading the truck. So we have all of that going on, which creates a culture, and people begin to understand what it takes to succeed there. But in the book, I talk about the fact that your biggest stumbling block is thinking your culture is good enough, and especially today. I don't care whether you're in the shed industry or a CPA firm, people that care and want to do an amazing job are hard to find. Good people are worth so much because you can do so much. You can build so much together. And so it's so important that we understand our good cultures. Although, for 50, 60 years now at Horn, we've had good culture. But in 2011 and 12, we said, you know what? This good culture is not going to take us where we need to go. And as I tried to think about how do you get leaders to wrap their minds around that, hey, the status quo is not good enough. Because again, it's part of our badge. It's part of it. So I related it to a story when I was 15 and got my driver's license. My daddy took me to Memphis, Tennessee, and I bought a 1965 Ford Falcon, straight shift on the column, for $300. So that tells you what kind of car I started with. And I could not have been prouder. It needed a paint job. I brought it back. I was in the FFA at high school and Future Farmers of America, and painted that Ford Falcon, got it all shined up, man, and it was something else. The very first summer, I went on a picnic with some of my friends out at Sardis Lake, and the next week on Tuesday, I started to have a little smell in my car, and I said, what in the world is this? So I detailed it out, cleaned everything out, upside down. Friday, it is worse. And this goes on for several days. I have cleaned this car up one side, down the other. Then I started putting air fresheners in it, and I'd ride with my windows down. And I kept telling myself, it's getting better, it's getting better, it's going away. And then Shannon, I'd stop, pick a friend up, and they'd get in the car, and they'd say, dang, Joey, what is that smell in your car? So kept telling myself it was getting better. I have a flat tire. Thank goodness I'm right there by the house. I pull behind the house, jump in the trunk. The spare tire was down in a well. I pulled that spare tire out, and I saw down in the bottom of it just the corner of a little paper bag. And I grabbed that paper bag and picked it up, and there was 2 pounds of rotting hamburger meat that we had at the picnic. Well, let me tell you something. 2 pounds of rotting hamburger meat in the trunk of your car will make it stink.
I guarantee it.
But I was in denial about that until my friends would get in, or my younger brother would get in. He'd say, I can't ride with you, Joey. It stinks too bad. So that's the way it is about culture. The owner, especially if you've got a family member that has started the company from scratch, they are going to defend their culture. And it's all about that's our self-image. But actually, back to your word, being vulnerable, over time, all cultures stink some because we allow behaviors. Maybe it's the salesperson that he's just really good at closing deals. But when he gets back to the office, the way he treats the warehouse people is absurd. And so we can't even keep good warehouse people. In fact, our best warehouse manager just left and went to work for the competition because of the way that one person acts. So, we allow behaviors for different reasons. They just seep in, and they're in the trunk of or in the closet of our company, and they stink, and people can smell them, and people have different experiences. So that's kind of how I get people to start thinking about, all right, we got to look at our culture a little closer.
Hey guys, this is the Shed Geek, and I'm here to tell you about the latest in financial innovation to hit the shed industry. It's a program called Backyard Finance. Everywhere I go, shed manufacturers and shed sellers are always asking, how can I get a better payment option for my customer? At Backyard Finance, they're making this a reality. You might be asking, how do I sign up? Simple, just go to Backyard Finance, click on the Get Started Now button, and create an account. After that, you'll have 200 plus banks competing to give your customer the best financial terms possible. With Backyard Finance, you can service your customers two ways: direct to customer lending or direct to merchant lending. With direct to merchant lending, simply fill out an application. It takes about 2 to 4 weeks to process that application, but it'll allow you a variety of financing options to make you a more competitive retailer. With FICO scores as low as 500, 600, or 700 plus, your customers will receive financing options with APRs as low as 2.99% or as high as 29.99%. Credit applications are approved in just 15 to 45 seconds. To know more, contact Backyard Finance at 833-692-2286 or email info@backyardfinance.com today. Backyard Finance, funding backyard dreams. Oh, great story, man. Being able to take something like that and turn it into a learning lesson. I don't have anything cool like that. No special picnic stories for culture, but I've certainly been, I've been both an advocate for change, and I've been on the resistance of change whenever it comes to trying to understand culture. I think that culture is it's that special sauce that's inside of every industry that's kind of the glue that helps hold it together. It's not tangible. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. And you almost don't even really know that it's there. But when it's missing, everybody feels it. Everybody knows without having to have something tangible that it's there. And I think that's what happens a lot of time is you can tell by the fruit. You know, the word talks a lot about, just watch the fruit. And you'll kind of see what's happening inside of your industry or inside of your business. So there's a very business first approach for a lot of companies. I hear the word, that's just business a lot. That's just business. That's not personal. That's not culture. That's not anything. How do you overcome the term that's just business? This isn't personal. This financial decision wasn't personal. It's just business. How do things like that play into how you handle culture?
Well, one of the things about having a strong culture is you do have to be willing to make hard decisions. Leaders that create that kind of culture, first of all, they're serving others. They're putting the team and themselves, putting the team and their team members in front of themselves, truly serving a larger purpose. And at times, there are going to be individuals that present behaviors that don't fit. Team members that, despite all of the coaching, training, learning, mentoring, they're just bad actors. And so So if you want to say that's business, or if you want to say that's protecting our culture, that's protecting our other team members, that's protecting our vision, our purpose, who we are. I mean, you can explain it any way you want to. I really feel like your question is going more to what we hear every day when somebody wants to hide from the responsibility of either making a hard decision or really looking for an excuse to make a decision that might not completely align with what they say the values are. In other words, some of the companies that thrive the most made even more commitment to their people in those downtimes and didn't let them loose, didn't lay them off. When COVID hit, I was on the phone with probably 16 of the top 100 firms in the country, CPA firms, professional organizations, because we do so much more than accounting and taxes today. I mean, we're really truly a full professional services firm. And so, at least half of those companies were going and did make significant layoffs in their workforce. What we did is accelerated our performance evaluation process to see who was making it and who was not making it. And then we made early decisions on those, but we did not make any major reduction in our workforce. But because of some things that we had done in our culture and giving people the ability to have flexibility and work remotely and do different things like that, our business actually 6 months into COVID accelerated because we were able to serve so many clients remotely because we had made that investment years before.
That's great. Couple of questions that I want to ask you, and this is maybe more referring to the book because I want to make sure to show you some love, and I certainly hope people will drop some links or get some information out about how and where they can go and find that information. Tell me about the Be Better mindset. How did you develop that concept for Be Better as a leader and leadership philosophy?
Well, I think it's part of our journey as a person of faith, a person that wants to have a great career. The Be Better mindset is just that, you're going to rise every day, not just cling to the status quo, but look for ways to be better. And, I even sometimes say be even better. If you're already amazing, well, just be even better. Don't take it personally, but every day is having that mindset to be better. I actually do share a story in one of the chapters where I talk about the Be Better mindset. And when you have that and your culture says that, what you're going to be amazed at is how much innovation, how much creativity your team brings to your company, because they know you celebrate and you treasure being better. We want to do it, but we don't want just because we did it that way yesterday doesn't mean that we want to do it that way tomorrow. We want to do it the best way possible. And so it's just a mantra. It was kind of we even had little labels put up, be better. And you could, if somebody brought some real creativity or innovation, everybody had stickers, and you could give somebody a sticker and you could stick it on their desk, you could stick it on their wall. We had Be Better stickers everywhere. But it really helped us get that energy going, that we're not going to be a company that rests on its laurels. We were very successful. We had street credibility. You ask anybody, hey, Horn is a great place to go to work. Horn has good culture. But we knew we weren't where we could be. We weren't at our full potential. And so the Be Better mindset that I like to talk about is just a rally cry.
That's great. This question particularly is something I want to ask because what I've just been expanding my own network into other areas of the industry, whether it be moving into accessory buildings and carports and post frame and all the nuance that goes with shed. I like to say, Joey, the shed's the common denominator in a lot of business. Carport industry, steel tube industry, furniture, play sets, greenhouses, chicken coops, you name it. There's shed lots all around the country, and you'll find them there in Mississippi as well. That do a little bit of everything. They kind of, not everybody does all the same thing the same way every time, which is why we talk to such a wide variety of guests, on the show, is because you never know what it is that's going to reach that particular listener or that audience member. But this right here kind of goes along with my expansion into Shed University and what we've been doing to try and organize something to help the salesperson day in and day out not feel like they're on an island and wondering what's happening in the rest of the world. Just because you're in Mississippi, doesn't mean you can't connect with someone in Oklahoma and say, hey, what are you guys seeing in the industry right now? Where's a good place to go to get that information? So this question comes to mind for that. Why are sponsors and coaches important to a magnetic culture? And how can leaders implement internal mentorship and coaching relationships throughout their organization? I'd really like for you to touch on that.
Well, I'll be glad to. Obviously, what we did is we went away from just having performance advisors or supervisors, mentors within Horn. We actually hired coaches that came in, their full potential credentialed coaches. And so people had a confidential individual relationship with that coach to help them understand the feedback they're getting, help them understand what they really wanted in a career. And certainly in some of the professions where it's just constant learning and you're needing new skills every day, that's even more prominent. But I'll tell you where it's starting to show up in family businesses and in smaller businesses. It's actually a service that we're doing at Horn right now. I'm personally involved with 3 different companies that are family-owned businesses that have gotten fairly large. But they build out these C-suite executive teams. They've got to have a CFO. They need an operations person. They need a warehouse logistics person. Maybe retail furniture. They might be doing any number of things. And they have no leadership development courses or training. They're bringing in individuals that have different backgrounds and experience and trying to have an effective leadership team that's communicating in different ways and just really creating a lot of chaos. For many of these organizations that are very successful, their leadership teams are really stressed out and working too hard because they just haven't effectively understood how to communicate with each other, how to understand and respect boundaries, how to be vulnerable and not be in every conversation. It just goes on and on and on. And you see that even in family businesses. And then in the smaller family businesses, the thing we're working on is succession. It's not easy to pass a business down, even within the family. I mean, I was with a family a couple of years ago, and their plan had been for years for one of the 3 kids to take over. And all 3 kids said, "Dad, I'm not doing that." And so then he turned to his insurance policy, which was the manager, supervisor, foreman that had worked with him for 20 years, or maybe even longer than that, maybe 30 years. No, I don't want to buy the business. And no, I actually am looking at retiring in about 3 years. So his insurance policy. This is very, very common in family business. And so, what some of the more successful family businesses are doing is they're saying, look, we're going to bring in coaches. We're going to meet with the family members. We're going to meet with dad or mom, whoever's running the organization, or both of them. You have that a lot. Dad does this, mom does that, and so they're both running the business. And start making some of those decisions and plans early on, because I've seen so many family businesses build up great value and then lose it because they have to make what I call a short sale or quick sale, because of somebody's health or, goodness gracious, something bad happens to somebody. As you were talking about, your friend and losing them in a car wreck. We're always faced with that. Mm-hmm. And having better plans, and then if it is going to be a sibling, which sibling and which one is the best choice? One of them has to lead. They can all work in the business, but you're going to have a leader.
Yeah. Man, what a good word. Like, I could sit and listen to you all day long. I'm gonna read this book for sure. I know you're up against a hard stop at 9. I think I might have at least time for one more question before we'll see where it goes. This is one that reaches me. There's so many that I can ask that make sense, but this is one that really reaches me because it speaks to me very much. How valuable is failure? How have you learned from your mistakes throughout your career? And before you get into that, I can tell you, I have failed absolutely so many times in so many different directions. One of my favorite words was a pastor who said, if you fail, you pick yourself up and you get back up and you get started again. And if you fail, you pick yourself up and you get started and you get going again. And if you fail, you pick yourself up and you get started and get going again. And if you fail again, you write a book over all of your failures so everyone knows what not to do, but you don't waste the failure.
Yeah. I think it's in chapter 2 of the book, I talk a lot about my shortcomings and my failures, my doubt when I was asked to lead the firm. I think people go through that. I made so many mistakes, and I try to share what I learned from that. It's really where we grow the most when we make mistakes. And one of the greatest things you can do if you are the leader of an organization, anywhere from supervisor up to the CEO, whatever level that is. And you make a mistake, when you own that in front of your team, when you own that in front of your boss,
yes,
and you share with what you're going to do to correct the situation and what you learn from the situation, when you're proactive with that, let me tell you something, your stock goes way up. Even in client service, and there's actually scientific surveys about this. If you make a mistake with a customer, and you own it, you're proactive with it, and you make it right, and they see that you care, that they're satisfied, they become more loyal, not less loyal. They're actually more loyal after having incurred that. So today we live in an exponential world. Just think about how much the shed industry has changed and is changing. The technology,
yes,
making things happen, what you can put up overnight. I mean, it's just exponential what's going on, and then the regulations, the transport. It's just all kinds of things going on. So we are in a world where you have to learn, unlearn, and relearn, because you're going to be using different tools. There's going to be different solutions. There's going to be new opportunities that you've never had before. So I really talk about and educate, learn, unlearn, relearn. Just get your mind around that. It's going to be a constant because we're in an exponential world. It's a hard trend. It's not going to slow down. If we got 5G now, do you think we're going back to 3G or are we going to go to 8G? I mean, what do you think?
Good word.
We all know where we're headed.
Yep.
So the other thing is I get away from the word failure. At Horn, words mean a lot. Words, they vibrate down the hall. Even if you say making a mistake or failing is good, we're going to learn from it. I still don't really want to fail. So we call it learn fast, learn forward, and learn together. Learn fast, make a mistake, just learn fast, learn from it, learn forward. Don't be looking over. You cannot drive down the interstate 55 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour looking in your rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Learn forward and learn together. Share your mistake, what you learned, help those around you, help your culture. So that's kind of what the mantra I like to see around that. And when people understand that and they hear it over and over, psychologically, they feel safer about doing it also. But they got to see the leaders do it. Seeing is believing. Me and you can say it all day long, but until Joey owns that mistake in front of everybody, nobody's going to believe that it's okay to do that.
That's right. That's right. Man, what a good word. Yeah, I wish I could have started my career with this podcast. I got to be honest with you. So much I would have viewed things so differently. Mistakes I've made and then mistakes I've learned from, they're just necessary. Those mistakes they have been absolutely necessary. Even the word says embrace it. Count the difficult times as joy. You know what I mean? Be thankful that you're not always delivered from everything, but pray for the conviction and strength to go through it so that you can actually overcome and not just be rescued from everything. So man, I just really taken on a new mindset in my life to say, I welcome it. I welcome the challenge. I welcome the difficulty. I welcome the failures that I'm going to have in business, in personal relationship. I don't like them, but nobody likes them. Hey, what's the Kenny Chesney song? Everybody wants to go to heaven, but just nobody wants to go now, right? I can't wait to go. All right. But, nobody wants to die today, do they? They still want to live and they still want to make the best decisions they can while they're here.
I'm thinking on your industry and some of the things that I've heard around my family growing up as a young man. I never found any joy when mom and dad said, we're going to take you behind the
shed. We do kind of own that, don't we? The old woodshed.
We're fixing to go to the woodshed and get this straight. So I've heard that from my grandparents and my parents. So
we have harbored many a discipline, haven't we, in our industry?
Yeah. You need to grab that one and claim it.
I tell it. Yeah, so first time I've heard that after all the time and years in the shed industry. Joey, if people want to reach out to you to know more about your book, how to get your book, who knows, to just speak with you, how would they get in contact with you or where should they go?
Oh, absolutely. JoeyHavens.com is my personal website, and you can get information on the book. I have a weekly blog that comes out every Wednesday morning. It's all about really things that happen in life and then making a leadership lesson out of that. Talked about uniforms in one just here recently. In fact, the one that came out yesterday was the fox killed all our chickens. And so it was about an executive that got into the chicken business, but it's a lot of leadership lessons in that one. So that comes out every Wednesday, and you can go to joeyhavens.com and sign up there for the weekly blog. I also post it on my social media platforms on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram. My email is Joey, at joeyhavens.com, and it's HAVENS.com, joeyhavens.com.
Joey, I know you're up against a hard stop. I know you got to get on this other call. We'll communicate through email if that's okay, and I'll be sure to follow up with you soon. Normally we end in prayer. I know you've got this stop, and I've used every minute that I possibly could of your time here today, but if you would, whenever you get off this call and get a free moment, just take a time today and pray over the shed industry and culture of the industry. We'd keep moving forward in a God first purpose in all that we do.
Well, look, let's do that right now. Let's offer up a quick prayer.
Sure.
Our most graciously Heavenly Father, we just thank you today for this opportunity to share, and I thank you for Shannon and his ministry, and I thank you for the shed industry and the families that it represents and the companies. And God, I lift them up, and I just pray that you would speak to the leaders, and they would think about people first and how they can, in intentional ways, care and serve for their people, and that you would bless this industry, bless those families, and bless those that work so hard. Thank you for the many blessings you've bestowed upon us, and I thank you again for this opportunity today. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Joey, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll communicate through email, and I hope you have a blessed day, sir. You certainly blessed mine.
You too. You have blessed mine. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.